Hello and welcome to Wolfman Gaming. This is my Uncharted, The Lost Legacy, Crushing Difficulty walkthrough, and this is chapter 8, also known as Partners. And now we're in spoiler country. If you haven't played the game yourself, turn off this video right now, and if you haven't turned it off yet and you haven't played the game, well, consider yourself warned. Because now we have a guest appearance from Sam from Uncharted 4. Nate's older brother has decided to join the party. And I can tell you now that the reason there was a fallout between Chloe and Nadine in between chapter 5 and 6 was that Nadine found out that Sam was Chloe's initial partner, and he got taken by Asav, and now we have saved him, and he's gonna join us for the rest of the game. Also, quick note here, if you go down to the left on this slope and jump up on a ledge there and jump into the little puddle beneath, it's blocked off by rocks from the outside, you can unlock the trophy called Cannonball, I think it is. Not quite sure, either way. Chloe will jump in and you will unlock it. I was gonna include it into this video, but I had some problems getting over there, and I already have the trophy, so I decided to just focus on getting through this chapter and figured to myself that I'd just tell you about it. So go down to the left if you want to unlock the trophy Cannonball. And the first part of this chapter is once again a lot of platforming, and we get to know, we have some a lot of exposition once again between Nadine, Chloe, and Sam. And Nadine and Chloe aren't that happy about Sam returning. For some reason, Chloe is kind of the mitigator between them, because, as we all know, Nadine is not a big fan of the Drake brothers. Everyone who has played Uncharted 4, A Thief's End, is very well aware of that. So tensions are quite high, there are a lot of cheap shots in between them, and it makes for some fun dialogue. At least the first time you play through it. The second time, it feels more like just an area of transport in between, or getting to the two biggest, or maybe not biggest, but the two hardest fights. So let's talk a little bit about the two fights coming up. The first one is going to take place in a cave. And what makes that fight hard to begin with is that when you start it, you have no weapons. As you can see, I am unarmed right now, so you're going to have to gather weapons from enemies you kill. And the first two enemies that show up have shotguns. And that was always fun, especially on the highest difficulty. And also, if you remember from chapter 4, those guys with the gas masks, you know, the grabby, touchy-feely assholes, they will make an appearance in this fight as well. And in my opinion, they are the factor that makes this fight really hard. Because when one of them grabs you, you will see me getting grabbed. You are in a really tight spot, because they hold on to you, you have to mash the triangle button. And enemies don't stop firing at you just because you are grabbed by Mr. Pervert in a gas mask. So I got shot down once or twice just due to the fact that one of them grabbed me and another guy decided to give me a hot lead shampooing. So you're gonna have to be very careful, and you're gonna have to make sure that your aiming is quite on point. But I'm gonna show you the best position I have found to get through this fight, and I will do my absolute best to guide you through it.
Next time, bring your own bloody rope.
But also, here, Sam doesn't have any rope, so he's living at the mercy of Chloe and Nadine, and I'm having a lot of trouble getting onto it, hopping around like a little frog. Looks really stupid, but it can be quite hard to latch onto it. But here is the fight. You see a little cutscene, and now is where it kicks off. Sam and Nadine for some reason have guns, and I get lucky that Sam shoots down this guy. And how many shells you get, you're a little bit at the mercy of the game, but there is also a Raffica over here. So I have 15 bullets and 3 shotgun rounds. And with that we're gonna change the world. No, we're not, but we're gonna get through this fight at least. And this first wave consists of, I think it's 5 or 6 enemies, and none of them will rush in close. Not in my experience at least. This guy may try, so show him who's boss and kill him. And the where you wanna be is behind that big crate to the left, and when that doesn't work, when someone throws a grenade or something, move over to those crates on the right, or those barrels on the right. Because this is a great position to be in, because all the enemies will come in from the right side. Some of them will rush you through the tunnel that is closest to you, and some of them will come from that open area over there. So none of them will be able to get in behind you. I get a bit unlucky, I get grabbed by those gas mask guys, as I said. This guy throws in a grenade, forces me to push up, so I'm gonna head in, and apparently he was dead when I got here. Nadine or Sam made made an effort and saved my ass. And also the reason I threw in that propane tank over there is, what you can do is throw propane tanks close to where that guy is, or outside the entrance to that little corridor, and also over to that one on where I threw one. Because you may get unlucky that one of the enemies hits it, but if the heavies try to rush you through those 2 corridors, you can shoot the propane tank and hopefully take out at least 1 or 2 in the process. But this is where the fight gets hard. Here comes the first gas mask guy, I spray him down. The secret here is to not let them get close, and I didn't see that guy coming in from the right. And I thought Nadine had killed him, and apparently she did. Then there's 3 of them. Here comes the third one, grabs me once again, Nadine comes in, and I just spray him. Do not feel stingy about using bullets when it comes to those guys. They will lead to your death more than anyone else in this fight. The heavy comes in, we spray him, and now the biggest threats have been taken out. The gas mask guys are down. There's 1 more heavy coming over there. I'm gonna throw in a grenade. Hopefully it will soften him up. I think I overshot a bit. Maybe? Yep. Overshot. Overshot! Throw another grenade. Soften him up even more. Takes off his helmet. We do a joint effort between friends. Spray him. Sam has got one. So we shoot him down. And now there are just 2 guys left, I think. No, 3 guys. But none of these are rushers. They will hold their positions, they will stay back, they will try to get into power positions, they will force you out with grenades. But when that happens, just move over to these barrels, as I mentioned earlier. And see if you can get... Ah! Apparently one of them rushed. Sorry about that. I didn't have time to watch through this episode before I started narrating. I thought I had taken out all the rushers. But now I'm confident that there is only 2 guys left. Hopefully only 2 guys left. But anyway, they stay back, and Sam is putting pressure on them when he's not running around like an idiot. There is also something about the AI in this game, or your AI companions. I don't think they can die in this game. There were instances in the previous games where your companion could die, but in the 3 times I played through this game up to this point, I have never had a death state of one of my AI companions. So that is a good thing to know. Now I know there's only this guy left, so I bring him some buckshot, I bring him another shot, and down he goes. And this fight, in my opinion, is, of the 2 fights in this chapter, this one is the harder of them. Just due to those gas mask guys. Because they killed me quite a few times. And the fight coming up is also very hard, very challenging. And I also know a friend sent me a link to Reddit about a guy complaining about crushing difficulty on this game, and about the fight coming up. And I can understand his opinion, because it is very hard. I exploit it a little bit to get through it, because the AI works somewhat, unless if you go into the position where I will go, because the enemies will have a hard time attacking you where I will be going. But I'm gonna talk more about that when we get there.
I think we can squeeze through here.
But because before we get there, we have to do once again some platforming, and also a little, once again, one of those little shout outs to previous installments in the game. Because if you remember in
You go first. Thanks.
I think it's in chapter 2 when we use the crates. You know, when you push a crate, it goes down through the roof and almost kills both of you.
Nearly to the rail yard.
And they say, let's never use crates again. That was a little shout out to Uncharted 4 and the overuse of crates. Of course, first of all, Chloe's gonna fall down a little bit. And this is one of those parts that I can have a problem with in games at times, because this is also one of those, this is like collectibles, this is one of those things they do to make you feel that you're getting a bigger bang for your
Is that
buck.
trip really necessary?
First time it's quite intense.
Okay. Now then.
First time I thought this is awesome, because it's quite high speed when you're sliding down there. But the second and third time you're playing through a game like this, those things start getting on your nerves. Because they only fill a function the first time you're playing it. There should be a way to bypass them. One that you shouldn't be aware of the first time you're playing.
Got something for you.
But all it does, it's, as I said, first time it's really intense, but second time,
Okay.
all it does is make, or at least in my case, it made me a little bit frustrated, because
Jesus.
all it leads to is some platforming and me having to climb up this rope that they attached to the crappiest tower in the history of mankind. Or maybe maybe field rations put some extra weight on you. Who knows?
Thanks, you too. Well done.
But anyway, the fight coming up is the next boss fight in the game. And it's against an armored helicopter, which I think is a bit of a shout out to Uncharted 2. Remember the helicopter fight in Uncharted 2 where you had to use the grenade launcher? This is similar to that, but instead we are gonna use a rocket launcher, and there is a lot of enemies in that area. And the fact that makes that fight so hard is that, once again, there are of course no checkpoints in that fight. And also the fact that you have to hit, or actually I tell a lie, there is one checkpoint, but we'll get to that. You have to hit the chopper. I thought you had to hit it 4 times with an RPG. You can carry 3 RPG shots, so you're gonna have to do 1 extra shot. But actually today, when I was sitting watching YouTube clips, I decided to take a look at another YouTuber's video of the fight, just to see how his strategy differed from mine. And he said in his video that you only have to hit it 3 times. And that is what he did. And so I may be wrong, you may only have to hit it 3 times with the RPG to get into the next phase, but you will see me shooting it 4 times. So if you want to be absolutely sure, hit it 4 times, but probably it will 3 shots will suffice. And here comes a little sequence. I think I shortened it down, because we're gonna stand around here for a little bit talking about Sam.
I wasn't sure if I could trust you either.
Yep. Originally you stand there for like maybe 2 or 3 minutes talking about Sam, maybe not even that long. It feels like forever when you're at this point in the game, at least. But here's a little shout out to Uncharted 4. Since Sam is the problem solver in this little platforming, of course he found a crate. The one thing Chloe and Nadine said they would never use again is the very thing that Sam uses, of course. I think it's kind of fun. It's one of those cute little in-game jokes, or what do you call it, inside joke? Almost called it an internal joke, but that's a bit wrong. So we push this old train cart up underneath the crate so Sam can push it down and we can continue onwards.
Okay, ready.
And also coming up very soon is a little Easter egg related to The Last of Us, so that's why I'm gonna tell you about it, actually. Because there is a collectible coming up, the Skeleseer. Remember from Left Behind when Ellie and
Don't call me that.
whatever her name is, her friend,
Call me man.
are in the toy shop in Left Behind. You can find the Skeleseer there, and Ellie can ask it a bunch of questions. When you swing on the rope over here, we're gonna swing over to that house, but
Sam.
if you, instead of swinging over to that house, swing back around this way and to the ledge beneath the one we jumped from, you will find a Skeleseer. And if you go into treasures on the pause menu and start shaking it and watch the underside of it, you will get a trophy. Can't remember what it's called, but anyway, that's a little tip from me to you if you want to unlock an extra trophy. But here is the helicopter fight. And this is a huge area with lots of enemies. You may be able to stealth this on crushing. I find it highly doubtable. There is, in the water over to my right, there are 2 red train carts that are halfway beneath the water. I know on my first run of this fight I went down there to reset the AI to make them lose track of me, but then I found this technique. So I'm gonna throw in a grenade and I'm gonna run the very second it explodes. So I throw it in, it explodes, and I start legging it into this train cart. And this is your position of power. I'm not gonna say that you're untouchable in here, because that would be a lie, but this is by far the safest area I have found in this entire fight. Because the chopper can't hit you in here. And all the enemies will come from behind me, more or less, so they are gonna have to swing around the side of this train car to get in here. You're gonna have to bring your A game to this, more or less. You cannot dilly-dally about. But in my opinion, it's best to stand in this corner, because in my experience, it took me a few tries to get through this fight, but in my experience, most enemies will rush you from the left, the way I'm facing right now. Nadine and Sam will do quite a good job at adding pressure to the enemies. And also the best part about all the enemies coming in here and getting killed is that you can pick up their weapons if you run out of ammo. But I'm not saying that all enemies will come from the left. Some of them will come from the right as well. So you're gonna have to keep an eye on that as well, so you don't get flanked. But you see, when the enemies come in here, sometimes it's almost like the AI gets confused and it doesn't know exactly how to handle this. It's really weird. I don't know why it works, I just know that it works. So we're gonna use that. We use that to make one of the hardest fights in the game a lot easier. But when you've taken down all the enemies, you're gonna have the chopper left, and we're gonna sneak around and pick up 4 RPG shots. And this fight is the very reason why I hate the lockpicking in mid-fight. Because you're gonna sneak around, you're gonna unlock boxes to get RPG shots, and you have a helicopter circling over your head trying to find you. If he finds you, he will start blasting. And he can gun you down, and as I said, there are no checkpoints. When you've hit the helicopter either 3 or 4 times with the RPG, still not quite sure about 3, I know you can do it after you hit it 4 times. The very second your rope latches onto the helicopter, you're safe. You get a checkpoint the very second you get your rope onto it. Because it happened to me, I got up on the rope and I died. And that is also a great thing, because when you're hanging from a rope you cannot fire a gun. You are a sitting duck hanging underneath a pissed off chopper shooting at you. You'll have soldiers shooting at you from the ground. So whether you make it up that rope or not is completely up to the game. So great job Naughty Dog to get a checkpoint in there. Also, if an enemy manages to get a grenade in here, just roll over to the other side of the train cart. The very second it explodes, move back to this side.
Maybe there's something we can use in there.
But also something you need to know. When you hit the helicopter the first time, he will send in reinforcements. I think it works like this, that he sends in reinforcements, and if you kill all of them, it will just be you and the chopper again. If you hit it a second time, he will send in yet another wave of reinforcements. What I'm gonna do is, when I have all my RPG shots, I will just put pressure on him. I'm gonna stay very close to this train cart, because I know I will have to move my ass back in here. I'm gonna take out one wave of reinforcements. If you hit him again without killing a wave of reinforcements, he will not send in another wave. So you will just have that wave. That is good to know. And now I think there is only one enemy left. There is one sniper. And also those submerged train carts are very good. When you've taken out the last soldier, the helicopter loses track of me quite quickly. But if you're not so lucky, just jump in the water, swim underneath the water to get into those train carts and wait around for a little while. So then he will lose track of you and you can start sneaking through this area. There's quite a lot of high grass or big flowers that you can sneak around in.
Look for explosives.
And this guy also has, of course, heavy armor. Heavy armor dude with a sniper rifle. Great combo. But I managed to squeeze some bullets in through this little hole in this little tower. And down he goes. And now it's just me and the helicopter. So I'm standing in here, I'm waiting for an opportune moment to move. And just by luck, actually, I was really close to one of the lockboxes. We pick up our first RPG shot. And in this fight I actually thought about leaving in the little animation for you picking the lock, so you would get a feel for actually how tense that is. Because your asshole will be tightening when you're playing this. And also, we still don't have a checkpoint. If you die right now, you will start over at the start of this fight. And it's quite a big fight, and that strategy being in the train cart is really good, but you can get unlucky. So that is why the lockpicking is so frustrating. Now I'm sitting out here in the high grass where he can't see me, and I'm trying to get a feel for where he is. When he loses track of you, he will move to different positions in this area, and I got unlucky. That box didn't even have an RPG in it. So with just a, what was it, Desert Eagle or something? And a grenade. Thank you, that's exactly what I needed. But I know there is an RPG in that lockbox on top of the truck. So I jump down in this grass. I'm quite sure that he's gonna move over to where I'm sitting very soon. So I don't want to expose myself. Because I've been waiting here for too long, spent too much time getting this far just to get spotted and mowed down by him right now. So just take your time, sitting here for a little bit, enjoying the view. As soon as he goes over to the other side of the battlefield, I'm gonna open this box. We have RPG number 2. And the third RPG I'm gonna get is up in that tower. So I'm gonna climb up here on the side of it. Just getting a bit nervous because he's moving over to the other side. If he notices you, just duck down behind cover as fast as possible. I get really unlucky. I get really lucky was what I was gonna say, not unlucky. That he didn't spot me. I have no idea why he didn't spot me. The gaming gods were in my favor. My sacrifice was accepted of blood and sweat and plastic of gamepads through the years. So they were merciful and he didn't see me. And now he's moving away once again and I'm gonna go over to that lockbox. Just waiting around a little bit. Don't be premature in going for it. We still haven't gotten a checkpoint. But now he moves away and I can move over to the last lockbox. In here is also an RPG shot and I'm gonna pick that up as soon as I fire the first shot. And now once again we're gonna play the waiting game. Because there he is and I'm gonna wait for him to move back in my direction. Whether you hit the body of the chopper or the rotors doesn't matter, as long as you make contact with it. So there goes one. He's calling in reinforcements.
Incoming reinforcements. We're not
Maybe it's after
yet.
the second RPG shot. Not quite sure. Or maybe I was just so quick. Now I'm sure I can latch onto him. Now the problem is getting in a position where I can latch onto him, because he needs to be quite close. If you want to, you can immediately head for the water and try to jump in and hide in train carts until everyone loses track of you and take out the second wave. But I'm gonna stay around here because I know that if I can get in close enough, I can latch on. So I'm just gonna wait in here and see if I can thin the numbers of the enemies a little bit. And I'm not quite sure how many enemies are in the first wave. But I know there are quite a few of them. So I'm taking my time, waiting for opportune moments as one guy tries to grab Nadine and I show him that no means no. So now it seems to be a bit of downtime, so I'm running out and I'm just slamming the L1 button. Still no checkpoint, people. Just remember that. But I didn't get close enough, so I'm gonna head back in here. Because I see more enemies are coming. Sam and Nadine are running around like headless chickens. Not being very useful at all, people. Feel free to shoot someone. But I bring out my trusty old Desert Eagle. Also, now that I saw that grenade go off, I think one time I got trolled in this fight. One grenade went off outside the train cart. Maybe it was just by that little gap in the door. And it killed me. And now I latched on. And that is your checkpoint. The very second you see her throwing the rope and latching onto the helicopter, you're safe. If you die, you will start over hanging from that rope. So all you have to do is go up into the helicopter, go into this little quick time event, where you press square 3 times and triangle once, and you have beaten chapter 8. And I want to thank you very much for watching, and I will see you again in my next video. So until next time, this is the Wolfman signing off.